To the both of you, I'd like to ask, what are the most pressing environmental issue of this generation?
I think we have quite a lot. It's hard to say what's the most pressing, but obviously everybody's concerned about climate change as a result of CO2 emissions, and that is a serious issue that we have to address. We can see that we've had the hottest January on record. We can see that last year we broke over 400 climate records. We can see the impacts of the highest temperatures in the Antarctic and in the Arctic. The impact of what we're seeing in Australia, the locust in Africa, it's all doom and gloom at the moment with the impact of climate change. That is huge. There are other areas we have to focus on. Soils, for example. We're seeing massive impacts on soils around the world, and that's going to have an impact on food security and therefore an impact on people's livelihoods. We've got to see a transition in society away from this constant consumption approach. So production and consumption sustainability is critical to solve many of these problems. And we've got to also look at the whole of the energy systems and how we rely on fossil fuel based energy, which is causing a lot of these emissions. We know there's alternative solutions. We know it's a viable solution. We just have to have the willingness to change and break that kind of connection between fossil fuel and economic growth. We know we can. We've seen countries that can change and go renewable and still see economic growth happen. So it doesn't depend on fossil fuels. So we got to start looking at this whole transition, and one thing for SEI in particular is making sure that transition is viewed through a gender and social equality lens, so that we're not transitioning from the male-dominated fossil fuel to a male-dominated energy system. We need to make sure we integrate gender in a more holistic manner in all transitions in the future. So there's a number of different areas that we have to focus on. Air quality is another one. We see between pollution from air quality pollution and pollution from environmental kind of issues around production and factories, etc. It's killing about 9 million people a year, but it's not being talked about. So these kind of constant pushing the boundaries, we would have the term planetary boundaries, pushing to the limits will cause significant problems for us in the near future if we don't transition now. So lots of problems, but there are solutions. I fear a lot of people worry about climate, and climate anxiety is a growing issue, but there are solutions, and there are ways we can turn this around if we're willing to work together to do so, and I'm an optimist that it'll work.
Okay, it's maybe not directly an environmental issue, but I've been concerned about this, people's movement, not only people, actually like wealth distribution as well. So this may cause huge global problems. Most of the things actually, most of the things we working with the environment are actually related to people. And then at the same time, people is causes or sources of the problems. So, and then still like a country like Indonesia, Africa, like a population is increasing. So at the same time, wealth distribution is it's more and more distorted. So which means like poor people could be more vulnerable. So it's if climate change makes hazard or impact larger, then vulnerable people do not have a capability to cope with the solution. It may cause bigger problems than we initially estimated.
And maybe I'll just add to that as well, but this issue now around the coronavirus, while it's not a climate impacted virus, we do see a lot more diseases, vector-borne diseases, as a result of changing climates in areas. We do also see, as a result of the impact of climate change, as you said, more vulnerable communities who are beginning to move. So the issue around this climate migrant is going to be a major problem that we're going to address. And one example alone here in Asia, if you're looking at sea level rise, you're looking at up to nearly 700 to 800 million people living at sea level that will probably have to relocate. Now, that's a huge problem for the region, and this is because of climate change. So there's lots of concerns, but there's lots of opportunities to work now to solve some of these. And I think having people on the ground like su-re and with TAC leading that, we find local solutions to problems. And that's where this sort of partnership is critical.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, of course, we need the knowledge from us. Yeah. So it's fundamentally is a global problem.
Yes.
Like in the local issue, local problem, local solution needed, but this is a global environment problem.
And lastly, last November, we had a symposium inviting about 60 students from 6 schools in Bali. And then overall, lately we've been seeing a rise in the interest of the younger generation about climate issues, including their thoughts of climate and anxiety. So I want to ask, what are your thoughts about how can the younger generation have a role in trying to solve these climate and environmental issues?
Okay. Maybe I go first.
You go first.
I go first. So yeah, I think I chat a little bit about this with Niall before this video. We feel a little bit sad about this because now child, those, I totally respect those people, working on the younger generation, working on the climate changes, the other environment issue. But this supposed to be our role, supposed to be the task of adult to solve these issues. Child should be, able to act like a child. Like when I was child, I didn't need to think about this global environment problem. But now, technology enable kids engaging to those, to get this kind of information. At the same time, maybe problem is so serious. Too serious. That's the reason maybe kids need to take a lead this kind of issue, especially like climate change, for example. Now if you see that there's last year 1.5 degree special report on the from IPCC. The all solutions they provided is based on the technology we do not have. So what the Greta said is not even good enough. So we really need to take issue much more seriously. And now, also your generation live up to 100. Life expectancy become 100 years. In the World Economic Forum, I think 2017 they published a report. I think your generation, younger generation, live up, on average 100 years. So you will actually see this serious climate environmental problem. So I understand that the kids may need to take this issue much more seriously than us, because we may die actually by the time it's serious problem impact is kicked into the society and the environment. Yeah. So, but at the same time, sorry, maybe too long, but now at the same time, kids can have a voice. If kids contacting the important guy, children, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say kids, children contact the important guy, I think that they may tend to penetrate the wall and the barrier. So it's, just repeating, it's maybe sad that kids cannot just thinking just own things. However, now kids have power to engage to this environmental issue, so why not?
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. Is that I look at my 3 children and think we had the privilege of being brought up in Africa in many countries, and what they've seen in terms of wildlife and landscapes is changing dramatically due to climate change, due to our consumption patterns. And I fear for the children of the future who don't get to enjoy that in that way. And I think we have a responsibility to our children and to hopefully grandchildren in the future to give to them, a planet that is sustainable. And I think it's a pity that children have to spend their childhood facing these dilemmas instead of having more fun, as it were. But in saying that, I think they've also got great opportunities to bring about change. They have access to technology and knowledge in a way that we never had. We may have caused these problems, but I genuinely think people of our age didn't know we were causing these problems when we were causing these problems. But now you have access to that knowledge immediately, so you don't make the same mistakes. I think children have power as well, and when I talk about children and youth, the youth are voting age individuals. They have the power to change. They have the power to get out and vote, and they vote for an environment now stronger and stronger every year. I see it in every country. Be the change. Get onto your phones, use the technology to drive the message home to decision makers. Tell them that you're not going to put up with it. Tell the businesses you're not going to put up with it. So I think you are the majority of people on the planet. The youth are the majority. They can be powerful if they want to be. So we have to work with providing the knowledge, providing young organisations with the ability to get their voices heard and drive change. And where there are democracies, vote for the right change. Where there aren't democracies, maybe start looking at that too. But we have to support that change. And often hear that old white men, Europeans, whatever, are the cause. We may have been the cause, but I think we've also the potential to change as well. So I'd like to embrace that, working with youth to do so. It's the only way, and we're not doing it fast enough. We are seriously running up against time here, and we need to look at every opportunity we have to try and push for sustainability, and give you guys a longer, healthier life as a result.
Okay, so that's all our questions. Thank you, Niall, and thank you, Tak, for joining me in this session. So if you like this kind of content, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also, probably in the link below, we'll also link our su-re.co website and the SEI website. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to give a suggestion on sustainability issues or guests we should interview, please do so on the comment section below or through our social media. If you like this kind of content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification icon so you can get notification when we post new videos. We also sell coffee and chocolate to support sustainability issue, and you can buy them on the Tokopedia linked below. Thank you.